Welcome, everybody. This is Jared Brick, creator of zenhustlers.com, and welcome to the Zen Hustlers Balance podcast. So if you're not familiar, zenhustlers.com is a free resource website developed for you, people who are high-level producers. They want to have a big impact at work, but they're feeling stress, overwhelm, and a variety of symptoms associated with a toxic hustle culture mindset, typically often driven by America, unfortunately. And on our blog and podcast, we like to talk to experts and leaders who are walking the talk. People have been through a personal journey and they want to give back by sharing how they got through it and then what they do now to pay it forward. So today we get to talk to someone who I believe is my doppelganger, and this is Milena Regos. Milena is originally from Bulgaria, but now she's down in Baja, Mexico. So thank you so much for joining us, Milena, today.
Thank you for having me, Jared. I love seeing a double.
So tell us, your business is called Unhustle, and how did this start for you? Let's take us back to the beginning of the journey.
How did it start? Well, out in marketing, I built a global marketing career of 20 plus years. First on the media side, actually, in the very first days of internet online media back in 96, 97.
Wow.
For about 5 years. Then marketing director for a ski resort for 10 years. And then I went back and started a digital marketing consultancy, and I worked with celebrities like Madonna and Steve Nash and Dr. Weil and Squaw Valley and all these amazing clients, all the while being completely submerged in the hustle culture mentality, which led me to have what I call a hustle hangover. So we can get into the symptoms if you like. But at some point in time, one day I woke up and I realized that what I'm doing is not making me happy, is not making me healthy. I needed more meaning, more intention, more purpose in my life. And that led me to ask myself some serious, deep questions, seek some answers. And I went in the opposite direction and I started the Unhustle movement as for my desire to live into that balance in mind for an intentional life while making a difference, and also inspire other people to do the same.
Yep. And you just clarified our mission perfectly. Thank you. So what were some of those signals back in the day that you remember? And you talk about the hustle hangover. That's a great term, by the way. I love that. So what were some of those signals that really were shocking to you? Like, yep, this is not working. What do you remember back then?
Yeah, sure. So the hustle hangover that I experienced, and then since then has been verified by many of my clients and people I speak with on a day-to-day basis. So let's see if that resonates. Brain fog. You wake up in the morning, low on energy, very confused on your priorities in the day. So you grab your phone and you start getting distracted. So you end up in reactive mode. That proceeds with drinking copious amounts of coffee to get your energy up high, so you can get your work done while your attention is competing on various priorities. Low energy throughout the day. Then you end up with insomnia at night, digestive problems, not eating healthy, skipping exercise, all of these leading to another day of doing the same, working longer hours, but not necessarily accomplishing the right things to do. Does that sound about right?
Yeah. I mean, it's your experience, but I think we can all relate to that experience. And so you're going through all those things. We've all experienced different parts of that. So what was that aha moment for you that actually helped you shift?
Yeah, the aha moment for me was that the actual specific moment was at the grand opening of the Madonna Health Club in Toronto, where I looked around and I just realized that wasn't the life I envisioned, that I came to America to chase the American dream, and the American dream had somehow turned into the American nightmare. And I just didn't want to do this anymore. I didn't want to chase the external success factors anymore. My mom passed away fairly early from ovarian cancer. My dad passed away fairly early. So it was really in my face that the path I was taking, why was I doing that path and who was I doing it for? You know, being an immigrant comes with the extra pressure to prove yourself that you're successful. So a lot of people end up working extra hours. And I think work is a meaningful part of living, but how we go about it is what it complements or subtracts from your overall well-being and wealth is a very critical distinction that we need to make in our life, and everybody has to make their own choice. So I came to Baja California Sur. It was a 10-day digital detox experience. And if you're working in the marketing industry, you're probably very connected to technology 24/7 and very disconnected from yourself. You're very disconnected from your thoughts, from who you are as a person, from your values. And so that was my aha moment of saying, wait a second, there's this thing called life outside of work. And actually, I want more of this. I want the joy. I want the play. I want the fun. I want to hang out with people and not constantly be thinking about work, or at the minimum, not constantly be working. And so I went down a path to see how I can do this, how I can do it sustainably, and what is the science behind this little experiment, so I can see that there's some validity in this and I'm not crazy. But yes, science and ancient traditions say that we can do less and achieve more. So that's the path that I took, and it's working.
Got it. And so what time frame was that? And then when did you decide to start Unhustle, and how did it first look for you?
So I decided to start Unhustle about 4 years ago, but I started my own personal journey probably about 4 years leading up to it. So I slowly, I had to dismantle it like peeling an onion. I slowly, had to deal with the identity of being the big shot marketing agency owner, and stripping that down to just freelancing, and then stripping that down to, is this really what I want to do? And I still love marketing. I think it's creative. I think there's a lot of good things about the marketing industry, but I was starting to lose my creativity. I was suffering from creative burnout, and I wanted more of that creativity and displayed in a way that was meaningful and purposeful for the world, instead of just trying to sell people on things that they may or may not need or want. And so I went searching for that more purposeful work, and I ended up with well-being and fulfillment and happiness in a way that is more, I guess you would call it more that personal development area. But I don't really refer to it that way. I kind of refer to it as modern living in a hectic world.
Thank you for sharing that. And then, so when you're starting this thing, did you have some experts or coaches, or who helped you get support along the way?
Okay, so I did about a year-long, really deep program with the Human Potential Coaching Institute,
Mhm.
which I did for my personal development. I wasn't really planning on coaching, but I did it to upgrade my own mind, body, and soul. Part of that program, there was an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and that really took me down on a path of experimenting with all kinds of different programs, from breathwork to mindfulness to yoga to qigong to somatic coaching exercises to actual coaching and working with people. So it's been a really interesting journey. I'm still on that journey. It's like once you go down that rabbit hole, you entered a very different dimension of kind of high consciousness and self actualization. But on the surface, it looks more like optimal living from an optimal well-being standpoint, while you're doing some legendary work, and that's ultimately, I think, what all of us want to do.
Yeah, I want to put a link to that resource, because I think that's a great resource for people if they wanted to get into the coaching. It reminds me of people who do yoga teacher training who never intend on teaching, and then they get such high value out of doing just the training that it kind of transforms their career and their lives. So did you stop doing marketing, or do you still do marketing, or what's the balance now between your marketing work and running on Hustle?
I still have a very few clients that I had from before who use me.
Yeah.
If somebody in my path crosses my path and says, "I need your help," we can talk about it. If it's conscious brand, maybe my consultant side would come back up. But I mainly direct all of my marketing efforts to grow the Unhustle movement and help entrepreneurs and leaders and executives find that more balanced, mindful, intentional living while they're doing the work that lights them up. And if that part of the work is leans into the marketing aspect, of course I can tap into my skills on that area.
Got it. So can I role play with you for a minute? Would you play
Yeah,
along?
let's do it.
So I'm in the Silicon Valley area. So I'm a busy tech executive, and I'm feeling burned out. I run a team and I find out about you and Unhustle and I reach out to you. What does that process start to look like around the deconstruction of the hustle mindset? And how do you work with these C-suite level clients?
All right. Well, first we need to see if you're really burnout, because burnout to me is a term that we throw around quite a bit. But it's really an organizational problem, not necessarily a personal problem. So we need to figure out what's going on there. Is it really you putting too much pressure on yourself and not taking care of yourself? And is that really just burnout, or is it more disengagement, or is it more just overwhelm, or is it, and so getting to the bottom of that, where is the burnout coming from? What causes it, and where do you want to go? What are your goals for your team and for yourself? And obviously it starts with yourself, because once you see that you can do things differently, then you can implement that in your team and hopefully change culture there. So I would do certain experiments, certain assessments, certain discussions, and together we craft a plan on what we can do that is realistic, by taking small steps, because you said you're already busy and I wouldn't want you to do something that completely interferes with your day-to-day schedule.
That sounds great. Any examples that you want to share anonymously of clients you've worked with that have had a breakthrough and they maybe realized, oh, I'm actually not burned out. I'm actually just in certain level of stress and overwhelm, but it's not really burnout.
Yeah, I mean, I worked with a
I've
startup
never heard
founder.
that distinction actually. Never heard anyone distinguish the difference between burnout and it's not real versus overwhelm and stress and putting that pressure on yourself. So that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, I mean, for example, I worked with a startup founder who came to me really burned out. And I think he was just in a critical phase of his business where he was getting ready to sell the company and had no energy to do it, had no motivation to do it, and
Yeah.
lead his, and he had a team he had to lead. And so we worked together. And to be honest with you, at the end, what he had to accept and admit to is that he was okay with walking away from that business and failing in that business, because his heart wasn't anymore in the industry. And whether he was burnout or just his heart wasn't into it are two different things, right? And burnout, I mean, we know it's a medical condition, and there's certain symptoms that come with burnout, inefficacy, inefficiency at work, or you're just completely demotivated, low on energy. So there are different solutions for all these symptoms. It depends on what's going on, really. So this specific founder, he was very happy when he finally said, I'm done with this industry. I actually have a completely different career path that I want to pursue, and that makes me very happy. So sometimes we put ourselves in position from a career standpoint where we think we need to be doing one thing, but that might not be the case. And it might be just a pivot that we need to do. And so we call ourselves burnout, but what does that look like? Is it that you don't want to do this job anymore? Or is it that you're burned out in this specific job and maybe you just need to search for a different solution, whether that's a different company to work for or a business to start, or you know what I mean? So there's more than one answers to that burnout problem. And I saw that there was just recently a survey put out by Christina Maslach, who's the pioneer in burnout and one of the top leaders. And she provided like a 3-question survey saying, okay, is it A, is it B, or is it C? And these are the different solutions for each. They all look very different. If you're burnt out and you're low on energy, telling you to exercise isn't going to work. Telling you to meditate may. And
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
different solutions.
It's
right?
just another thing on your list that you're not going to do. And it's going to feel like more of a burden, even though you think it may be helping you. It's just another thing on the to-do list that doesn't get done.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. I felt that before. And it was a big reason why I, got into becoming Zen hustlers. So do you follow up with your clients? I'm curious, over time, do you hear how their journey works and what's going on with them? How does that long-term perspective work?
Oh, it's amazing. We become friends, we follow up and we touch base. And I had one HR professional in charge of over 700 people for Whole Foods who worked with me. And her transformation was amazing. Within 6 weeks, she came to me. She was burning out. She felt misaligned, discontent with her current job. And because she was in charge of 700 people, she couldn't show herself to work and show up that she's burning out. She had to show up there and be, show that she's energetic and positive and be there for her people, right? So that was a very interesting transition. Within 6 weeks, though, of working together, again, bringing her back to who she is, to her values, to her intuition, to her heart, to what she really is craving from this thing called life, she ended up moving states, bought a house, got married, adopted a puppy, and got a promotion with the same company, but in a different position. So she was able to downsize her workload and transition more into a position that she really loved. And so that's a good example of like, there's so many different answers. You can quit a job, move to a different company, stay within the company, start a business. There's all these different solutions that people can do, but sometimes we get stuck into thinking that we don't have all these answers. And that's why it's helpful to work with somebody that can explore possibilities with you, because we are our biggest, worst critics. We can talk ourselves into not doing something because of mainly fear or because that's how things are. But yeah, it's mainly fear.
It reminds me of like a company where sometimes the company itself has to pivot what it's doing because it's not really supporting the customer anymore. And you're your own customer, sometimes running your business, either as a solopreneur or a founder, or even an entrepreneur or working with a large company. So that's a great story. And, we find that a lot of this work is about habits and practices. So do you help clients develop new habits and practices, and then give us some insight what that might look like?
Yeah, the interesting thing about developing habits and practices, that's why it's called a practice, that, they have to still practice it. And so giving people practices and habits, I don't prescribe things to people. It has to come from them. Like what's realistic to do with their schedule, what is their interest, what do they desire. This whole science of how you create a habit starts with your identity and with your purpose. If you're very clear on your identity and your purpose, then a habit is something easier to stick to. But you're not going to, quit smoking just to quit smoking. But if you start considering yourself as a marathon runner, all of a sudden you may quit smoking, right? So helping people identify the why before the how is very helpful. And what does that look like from my side is, I had one client who told me she didn't have any more joy in her life. She was very content with her career, a little probably maybe too complacent, but she wasn't burned out from her career. She was seeking more excitement, more joy, more fulfillment, more learning on her own. But the one thing she told me she was missing was joy. And the one thing that she used to love to do, but stopped doing, was riding her bike. So she went and got a bike, and she gets on her bike and she finds that flow and she finds that active leisure, which prevents her from, thinking about work all the time. And within a few months of, riding her bike, she also moved to the countryside so she can be closer to nature.
Yeah.
She is now looking into pivoting careers and maybe doing some kind of leadership coaching, leadership development. And she's a lot happier. Yeah, she's still working remotely with her current job, but starting to consider other opportunities. And that was with like starting to ride her bike, a couple of times a week, to just bring that magic in your day, bring that joy, bring that curiosity and wonder and all that we've lost because of all that hustling.
Isn't it cool how this work bleeds into the other parts of your life? Like you said, people have adopted pets, they've gotten married, they've moved, and they get new jobs. It just like bleeds into all these different other aspects of your life. And you didn't originally think like, oh, I need help with X. And then all of a sudden you've got the rest of the alphabets changed for you in your life. And and I love that part of this work is like, you just don't realize where it's going to shift because you're coming with like a mono focus of like, oh, I've got to do with this thing, but then it just bleeds into all these other areas of your life. What are some personal practices that you do as a founder of a company that keep you level and balanced?
I have my Unhustle morning practices,
Yeah, what does that look like?
which were developed down here in Baja. And so I had to make sure that they were supported with science. Well, on Hustle morning practices, I use the acronym SUNRISE.
Okay.
And so S is for sleep, and sunrise, the S in the sunrise is actually for sunlight. So when you get sun on your face and on your body, that jumpstarts melatonin later in the evening, so you can actually fall asleep later. So for somebody who struggled with sleep, I had to make sure that I get good sleep. And so your morning actually starts the night before. So making sure I don't sit on any devices late in the evening, because that completely destroys blue light, completely destroys my sleep. So that was an easy, for me, because where I live, it was an easy practice to implement, to just get some sunlight on my face first thing in the morning, make sure I can fall asleep easy in the evening. I feel great. You get energy, you wake up. When you actually don't have sunglasses on in the morning, you get energy through the sun, so it wakes you up. The U stands for unplug, obviously, not grabbing your phone first thing in the morning, but taking some time to kind of take care of your mind and body based on how you feel every day. N stands for time in nature. If you can't walk outside, maybe you can look at the plant or connect with your dog or cat, whatever you have. R is for read and write. There's a lot of benefits, cognitive ability development from reading and writing, also just for fun, just inspiration, feel good. Good mood puts you in a good productivity state. It doesn't take more than 2 minutes to read a page. So for everybody that says that sounds nice, I don't have time. You can stack your habits. It doesn't take more than 15, 20 minutes to run through all these rituals. There's a lot of benefits of journaling, whether you do morning pages, free writing, but you can get a lot of therapy sessions from just free writing in the morning. free flow
Yeah, big
writing.
fan of the free consciousness journaling.
Yeah, exactly. That works. Yeah. You need a special journal for that. I set for intentions. So I try to come up with, ideally the night before, but reconfirming in the morning, like what are my big 2-3 things that I want to accomplish in the day, so that I know when I do accomplish them, I feel good. I can shut down the computer, move on to rest and recovery for the rest of the evening. Sunrise.
You're an I, yeah.
S is for stillness. That's mindfulness meditation session, stillness, solitude, whatever, if you have prayer, whatever that time is. But a few minutes, I like to have a consistent mindfulness meditation practice. So that's my time to do that. And then E stands for energy. And that's your bulletproof coffee, cold shower, a quick workout, mindful movement, quick run, walk outside, whatever it is. You can stack all these habits and run through them all at the same time. You can practice your gratitude in your silence time. You can do your exercise while you're outside. So you can do all this. It honestly takes 15 to 30 minutes. Bottom line is make them yours. Create whatever rituals work for you. These are all science-based rituals to help you have an optimal mind, body, and soul state, so that when you do get to work, you feel good, you're focused, and you can do the deep work, and you can get into a state of flow. I basically don't start working until I feel good. I actually have the luxury of doing that, so not everybody does. But if you can do that, then you'll be so much more productive.
I love that. And we're going to definitely build like a little meme around it. I'm sure you have one for sunrise. That was a really great list. And, a lot of people talk about the habit stacking, so that it's like you're tackling 2 or 3 all at once. So let's dive into the retreats. You offer retreats. Tell me about what that retreat experience is like down in the next one's coming up in Mexico again, right?
Yeah, it's going to be where I am, where I live full time in La Ventana, which is Baja California Sur, about 2 hours and 15 minutes from Cabo San Lucas. It's a really magical place. I went swimming in the ocean today for about 2 hours. The snorkeling is amazing. Paddle boarded with dolphins the other day for 20 dolphins outside. It's a really nice place. So to me, it's a place it's time to unplug, reset the nervous system, heal some burnout, shift some perspectives, implement new habits, a lot of kind of inner work. through exercises, through somatic experiences, through some transformational experiences, finding some awe, finding the magic, exploring with curiosity, seeing a different country. It's a great place to realize also gratitude and perspective shifting. Work on your abundance mindset. And there's some fun exercises that I want to do here from an abundance mindset, how to shift that from scarcity to abundance. And really, really leaning into kind of the emotional intelligence for leaders, the relationship building, the mindfulness aspects, supported with neuroscience and some ancient traditions in there as well, from Taoism and Buddhism.
That's awesome. How long is the retreat?
I think it's 5 days.
Yeah. And
We'll
then
do some biohacking too.
is everyone staying at one location all together?
Yeah, it's a beautiful retreat center that we have in town. It's really magical. It's right on the cliff. The rooms are all white. It's very calming. There's yoga, 2 yoga studios that we can use for yoga and exercise and workshops. And there's a restaurant on site with fresh local ingredients and food that can accommodate all kinds of needs. I have a local shaman that we can tap into for some different spiritual aspects. The owner of the retreat center has offered to lead the workshop for us, and she's an amazing yoga instructor. So it'll be a really, really special experience. Currently, we have 24 spots open.
Mm-hmm.
So April of next year is when we're gonna do this.
All right, folks, you have just under a year to sign up for this and get involved. And so I'm going to play devil's advocate for a sec. Okay, it's really easy to be on a retreat and relax and decompress, but then you get off the airplane, you're back in your normal life, and it all hits you like a wave. What do you recommend to people when they get back from their retreats and life hits them again, and they have that choice? Oh, I got my old way and I've got my new way, but I haven't used my new way yet, and I don't trust it yet. So what do you recommend to people when they are at that juncture?
Jared, that's a great question. So, because it happens, it's going to happen, right? We know this. And so what I offer the retreat is the tools in your toolbox, but I don't leave you when you board the shuttle to go back to the airplane. There's going to be a community continuation. So once you're into the experience, then you can continue to have the accountability. You can continue to stay with the same group together. You can continue to have the same circles of care on a monthly basis, and you can continue to meet together with the same people and learn from them and keep each other accountable. So there's a community aspect to all of this. Ideally, I'm going to do an 8-week program leading to the retreat, so people already know each other, or on the back end, do the retreat, then do the 8-week program. Either way, you have my support, and then you have the support of other people who are on the same journey, so that it doesn't feel like when shit hits the fan, you're on your own and you revert back to the same old habits, which is the very first thing we do because we lose consciousness. We go back in our auto repeat behavior, which is what our lizard brain tells us to do because that's what keeps us safe, right? So it's awareness that that's happening is the first step. Commitment to the new way is the second step. And then the practice is the third step.
Yeah, I love how you guys support them before and after. That's a really great step. And it tends to be the journey it's not over the minute you get off the plane. You're not healed completely. You're in a path. You're on a new path. You're in a journey. So thank you for sharing that. And you mentioned that there's an assessment on your website that people take as a next step.
Yeah, if you think you're burned out, I have a 10-question self-assessment that they can take. Just head to unhustle.com and you'll find it, and you can take it. It's a real easy questionnaire, and it'll give you your level of burnout with some action steps you can take based on where you're at.
That's great. Any motto or mantra that you want to leave people with today? This has been great. Thank you.
Any motto or mantra is, lately I've been playing with a Ram Dass. I may butcher it, but it's basically, I can't change you, only you can change yourself.
Yeah.
And so I know the coaching industry is booming, and this is gonna sound very contradictory to the work I'm doing, but at the same time, only you can change yourself. And so I feel like we don't need any more knowledge. We need to put the knowledge into practice, because you can go down and type into AI or Google or wherever you want, and they'll give you the answer. The thing is the doing, and we're missing in the doing, or in my case, is the being, because I'm going against the doing, more leaning into the being joyful, being courageous, being authentic, being balanced, being mindful. And so that's a practice and a path that everybody has to walk. And yes, you do need the resources, and you do need a supportive community. So don't try to do it alone, because your brain's gonna try to talk you out of it. But stop reading and stop researching and start actual practicing.
That sounds great. Yeah, we're starved for they say in modern life, we have plenty of information. We're starved for wisdom and experience, and it's wisdom and experience that we're really seeking, not information. We've got enough
Yes.
information floating around us.
We're gonna
So,
feed
well,
plenty
thank
in our
you.
brains.
Yeah, thank you for being with us today and being yourself, and the work that you do in the world. We think it's really important, and then it spirals out and impacts thousands of people that we engage with every day. So
Oh,
thank you
thank
for the
you.
work that
Thank you
you
so much
do.
for having me, Jared. And I'm so excited that you're doing similar work. Good job.
Yeah, we're all trying to, get to a new place and on a path together. So thank everybody for joining us today. This has been Zen Hustlers Balance. If you'd like to reach out to Milena and unhustle.com, we'll have a link in the resources if you're listening along. And just want to remind you that Zen Hustlers is here as a free resource website, plus the Balance podcast. And, join the communitas, which is a committed group of passionate people who are all on a journey together. And thank you for joining us today. Subscribe if you want to get more episodes, and we look forward to seeing from you. Thanks. Take care, Milena.
Thank you, Jared.